Thank you to Aspire for having me here this afternoon to speak to you all. And first off, I want to start with a question. How many people wear glasses or contact lenses or something to correct your vision? So, okay, pretty much everybody in here. I do too. I have my contacts in, and I don't even take them out unless I'm about to go to sleep or actually get into bed. I can't even watch TV without my glasses or my contacts in. So, we have the physical visual impairments that we have, where we have to wear contacts or glasses for that. But a lot of times we also have mental or blurred vision that we can't see with the naked eye. And that's what I'll be talking about today. So what makes you have blurred vision? Bad decisions is one of those things. A lot of times in life we make hasty decisions or bad decisions out of anger. And that actually was one of the things that fueled a lot of my poems. A lot of people ask me, well, how do you write poetry? And a lot of times I'm mad about something and then I start writing it and it just comes to me. But bad decisions, a lot of times those are the things that we do, and then later on we wonder why we have the blurred vision, but it's because we maybe made wrong choices or bad decisions. Also, faulty perceptions. I know I'm definitely guilty of this, and I know maybe many of you are too. A lot of times you get an email that comes across your screen and you think, what are they really trying to say? That email. And it's not necessarily that the person was saying something wrong, but it's just that our perception is wrong because maybe you had a flat tire on the way in, and it blurs your vision pretty much for the whole day. It sets you off on a bad foot and get off the bed on the wrong side, so to speak. And also life situations. Sometimes you don't even do anything wrong. It's just that situations and life things that are dealt to you just causes you to have a blurred vision state. I know that one while, probably 2 or 3 years ago, while I was working here, some of my old coworkers on the CDC may have remembered this, but we were doing Biggest Loser, actually, which is funny because we're doing Biggest Loser in my group now, too. So, everybody knows I love to eat, so I don't sacrifice eating. I just try to work out harder. But, we were doing Biggest Loser, and this was probably about 3 years ago, and I just felt all of a sudden really sick, just really feverish, and there were about literally 5 or 6 people that had the flu. I remember during that week, and so I just thought, oh, it's the flu. And I told my manager, I said, I think I need to leave because I'm not really feeling too good. So by the time I got to the parking lot, I broke into cold sweat and then got in my car, and I only lived like 15 minutes from work. And I had to pull over several times because I just felt like, well, I can't, drive or make it, another few feet here. And so got to the red light, and then I thought, well, let me just try to pull over and get out the car and get some fresh air, and still, felt like I was about to pass out. And I'm like, what is going on? And so by the time I finally made it home, I was drenched in sweat. So anybody that would have seen me, they would have thought that I had just been like walking in the rain or, walking in the water or something like that. And so my girlfriend, who's sitting right here, she came over and she said, she was sick too, and she said, I think you might need to go to the doctor. And I'm like, no, I'm good, I'll be all right. And so I kept thinking, this is like a really bad case of the flu. So long story short, it turned out that I had a cyst on my intestines. And I was just so angry at the time because I had just lost like 15 pounds. I was eating healthy, and I was, just working out and trying my best to be healthy, and then here comes this cyst, and they didn't really, the way the lady told me, she showed me the x-ray and she said, you need to go to the ER right now. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a nice way to tell somebody that they have something going on with them. So I say all of that to say, and now fast forward a little bit, I stayed in the hospital for about a week, and then got a second opinion because they wanted me to have surgery, and then when I got the second opinion, it actually ended up being gone. They did another CAT scan, and it just vanished. Knock on wood, haven't had any problems with it since. They still don't know what caused it, but it was something that just crept up on me all of a sudden. And I'll say that to say, because I remember during that period, I looked at everything negatively. I was just really angry, and that's what I had. I had blurred vision, and actually, during that period, really inspired me to write my first book, Blurred Vision. So that's just a little testimony. Some of you probably already know that, but for those that didn't. Okay. And also, another thing dealing with blurred vision and also with our success is your circle determines your success. Basically what that means is we can't be the only shining star. I was talking with a friend the other day, and she said that if you're the only shining star in your group, then something's wrong. And I thought about it, and it really just stuck with me. And it's so true, because if you have a group where, you're here and everybody else is down here, not to say you're above anybody or anybody above you or below you, but if you're the only person that's in that group that's doing something positive and doing something well, then chances are you really won't grow. So we have to, I think, always remember to surround ourselves with positive people and with people that are going to take us to the next level, and not be afraid to attach ourselves to people who know something that we don't know. I think sometimes it's easy to get intimidated by people who maybe can do something better than us, but I think that that's something that we can take as a learning experience and maybe see, okay, well, how do you do that so I can improve myself and make myself better? Okay, and then we have to speak the vision. It's not enough to think about it. This picture here, you see there's two people talking, and there are these different thoughts going on in their mind, but there's no actual verbal communication here. It's just thought. And a lot of times, we have ideas, and I've talked to a lot of people, and they'll say, oh, I have dreams of doing this or doing that, and then sometimes you ask them, well, have you told anyone? And they say, no, well, I haven't told anybody, I'm working on it. But when you tell people, and I found this with a lot of things, and especially with doing my books and my publishing company, when you tell people what it is that you dream of doing and what you want to do, it brings an accountability to you. So now that you put it out in the atmosphere, then now you're accountable to getting that done if you tell the right people. Some people you tell them, they just say, oh, that's great, and then, you may not hear anything else from it. But if you tell the right person, they'll stay on you, and they'll keep asking you, well, how's that going, and how is that progressing? And if it's something that's really a dream of yours and something that you really want to do, you don't want to disappoint yourself, and at the same time, you don't want to look like you're saying something that you're not following through with. And speaking it into existence, this is something I think that, works twofold. I think a lot of times we say things and we don't really realize the effect of our words by saying something, that's negative or something that's even positive. It has an ability to sway either way. I always thought this was something so weird. I don't know how many of you know the group TLC. The girl left out that passed away. I remember when she died, it was an interview that she did. It probably was maybe even 10 years before she died. And she said, sometimes I feel like a car would she said sometimes she wants a car to just hit her and take her out of this mess that she's living in. She didn't want to live another 10 years or so the way she was living. And then, if you don't know, pretty much her story was she did die in a car accident. So a lot of times you have to watch what you say, because those things follow you. It may not be the next day, it may not be a month from now, but it could be, years from now, that kind of thing catches up with you. Okay. And hindsight, looking back, I first started talking about doing my books, my first book, Blurred Vision. I talked about it for about 3 or 4 years before I actually made it a reality. I would tell people, and they would hold me accountable to it, but at the same time, I wasn't ready to do it. I wasn't doing the things that I should have been doing to line myself up for that. So with that, basically, I started Blurred Vision, started my book, started putting things together. But I had all of these excuses. I thought, well, what if people don't like it, or I don't have the money, and then pretty much I got to a point to where I didn't have an excuse. All of those excuses I had, they ended up being met. So that's what really pushed me forward into doing that. So I have my first book, Blurred Vision, and that's my website there. It's www.poeticexpressions.com. That's where you can find out more information about me, my poetry. Also, I do blogs on random things as well, and also my books for purchase. And my new book, Hindsight 2020, just came out, as Susan said, this month. And the concept behind both of the books, as I talked about, the blurred vision, is something I think that we all have at some point. You know, sometimes whether it's a relationship that's maybe gone wrong, or a friendship, or something with work, you know, there's always a time where you do have blurred vision, I believe. And Hindsight 2020 is basically just saying, when we look back, you're always able to see clearer. You know, and sometimes I think we have the false perception that when we look back, it's all going to be beautiful. Sometimes you look back, it's clear and it's ugly. You know, it's something that you may not like, but at least you know it for what it really is. And I also started up a publishing company this year, and it's called Seven Sign Publishing. So my book, Hindsight 2020, is the first book on that publishing company. And I have another book coming out. This book is called Naked. It's by John Adams, and it'll be out next month. It'll actually be out on May 4th. So definitely be on the lookout for that as well. And also just wanted to leave you all with a poem from my new book, and it's called Hindsight. Some people say there's no good in looking in the rearview mirror. But in this case, I can't help but take a look back and see things clearer. To a past that's now far removed from my mind, I was walking on black and white streets, but now I see in color, radiant, vibrant, and full of life. Those things that used to rack my brain are no longer areas of concern for me to maintain. So I thank you all for the lessons learned and value gained. Everything was a blur because I was caught in the middle of a whirlwind. But now I'm out of the eye of the storm and able to see the sun for what it really is. I'm shining brightly, blinding and scorching negativity, useless bickering. You're right and I'm wrong. I'll give you that and move around because I'm elevated to a level that's far above this ground. Looking back suddenly doesn't seem so bad. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to know, anything that I said that didn't make sense? Great.
How difficult was it to get your publishing company up and running?
Surprisingly, it wasn't that hard. How I got the idea from it, actually another lady, she works here too. I don't know if you all know her name is Erica Mills Hollis. She has her own publishing company too, and she writes books. And so I was asking her about it, and it's really more time consuming than anything because you have to have a team of people that are going to do your photography for the headshots of the people that are doing the books, also editing, someone that does cover artwork. So I have 2 or 3 people, so in case somebody falls through, then there's somebody else within that group, like the cover designers. I have 2 different designers, so if one of them is too busy or they're not able to do it, then I have someone else to fall back on. But I would say the timing is probably the hardest part, just having the time to do it. Anyone else have any questions?
So if someone has material that, you know, they think may be publishing material, how would they go about, like, getting that done?
Okay. Okay, well, they can definitely talk to me, and I can definitely walk them through that process of getting that done. I think it's really important that people know about publishing and about what, and not necessarily that you're doing it for money, but at the same time, you do want to make money and what makes money and what doesn't. I think what a lot of people miss is that even though ebooks are really popular right now, they really don't make much money because most ebooks are sold for about $5. And then the company that you go through, they take, like let's say if you use iBook, they're going to take about 40% of your profit. So you have to sell a lot of ebooks just to, be able to make some money. There's also a little boy that released a book. I can't remember his name, but he made notes about all the things he saw wrong going on in restaurants, and he published a book, and it's on Amazon. And he's all over the news. I don't know if you all have seen him, but he's been in the news like in the last month or so. But I just kept thinking to myself, well, how much money is he really going to make from the books? Because he's selling it through Amazon, which Amazon takes 60%. Wow. So, even if you sell like 10,000 books, you can do the math. It's not really that much money. But as far as publishing goes, I would say, definitely make sure you have your editor and, just write what you think is true to you and not necessarily what you want or what you think people want to hear.
Do you, is there, other than the books, do you have other ways that you say your poetry, like at a place?
Poetry readings.
Poetry readings or anything?
Sometimes I do. It's kind of hard with work, but on the weekend sometimes I do. If there is an event where there's maybe a spoken word event, I'll do poetry there, or if I host my own event, I'll do poetry. I'll be having something at the end of the year, actually, which will be a celebration of my publishing company, which will be Seventh Sign, kind of like a celebration of all of the authors that have been published. I have another book that's coming out in the summer that a lady wrote that's based on financial planning. It's going to be really interesting because it's not a how-to book of how to plan your money, but what it is it talks about your personality and how that makes you spend money based on what kind of personality that you have. So at the end of the year, I'll no, I can't. Well, I'll get in trouble if I reveal the title of this yet, but it'll be out at the end of the summer. Yeah. Right, and it'll be on my website. And then on the table there's some cards that have my website on there. But to your point, I will be doing some spoken word there, and then any spot date events that I find, I do spoken word too.
The Delta event.
Oh, yes. Also, I'll be at Delta Sigma Theta. They're having an event on May 5th, which I'll be doing some poetry readings there.